everyone, welcome back to Body and Style. Today we're talking about the 7 style essences. Essence is a theory developed by a man called John Kitchener, and it's largely based on your face shape. It's about 80% based on your facial features, about 20% based on your body shape. The idea, just like Kibi body types, is that you dress in harmony with your yin and yang balance. So there are 7 essences going from the most yang to the most yin. The idea is if you dress for an essence which is not your own, you would look like you're dressing in someone else's clothes or like you're wearing a costume rather than dressing in harmony with yourself, which should look very seamless. This can be used as a tool to find your personal style, but by no means should you or do you have to dress for your essence. It's just a tool you can use if you want to. And as always, don't get too caught up in the individual details. It's about the overall impression that you create. So with that said, here are the 7 different style essences. The most yang, we have dramatic. Dramatic essence is defined by a sort of boldness, theatricality rather, danger, intensity, dignity. People with dramatic essence tend to have sharp facial features and elongated facial features. They'll look quite harsh, and I read somewhere that dramatics look like they're kind of coming right at you, like their face looks quite in comparison to ethereals, which kind of look like they're drifting away from you. I thought that was quite an interesting way of putting this. They'll have quite feline eyes or like tilted eyes. They'll have thin lips, sharp jawline. They might have extreme or vivid colouring, high contrast, high and sharp cheekbones. So dramatic style clothing is similar as just described. It's very bold, it's very wild, it's theatric, it's a bit crazy, it's very intense. It can be straight and sleek and tailored. It's very severe, very dramatic. When dramatics dress creatively or in unusual styles, rather than looking crazy, they look quite self-assured and confident and quite elegant. It looks serious rather than looking like quirky. They look good in suits, in asymmetry, in narrow styles, extravagance, oversized shapes, chunky accessories, bold patterns, animal prints as well. Often we associate like wild, dangerous animals with the dramatic. Unusual textures, bold colours and shine. Natural essence is also a yang dominant essence, and so the features are similarly quite strong. However, instead of being dramatic and bold and theatrical, it's very relaxed, quite casual, down to earth, sportive, earthy, easygoing, laid back, relaxed. I could go on. It's associated with the outdoors and activeness. Often people with natural essence are quite easygoing. They look approachable, like the girl next door. They're quite average looking in the sense that they have quite asymmetric features which aren't like perfect. They might have a toothy smile, a wide jaw, a blunt jaw like Kristen Bell. I think she's a good example of that kind of blunt jawline. She might have closed set or smallish eyes. They lack perfect balance and are in some ways quite ordinary in like a really friendly, approachable way. Natural clothing lines are quite simple, they're comfortable, they're oversized, they're relaxed, similar descriptive words as before, so earthy, sportive. They will look quite elegant in informal and loose-fitting styles, whereas on other essences this will look quite sloppy, like they haven't really tried, whereas on a natural it'll look super elegant and really chic. They look good in irregularity and asymmetry, sturdiness, long lines, unstructured shapes and interesting textures as well. They'll look good in like original shapes, so for example a stone necklace would look really good that hasn't been carved into like a perfect circle or something. They look good in slouchy, unruly styles that are relaxed. They look good in layering, earthy colours, earthy, tribal or bohemian patterns, and denim as well. Gamine is also a yang dominant essence. Gamine essence is defined by a certain boyishness, so they are quite playful, they're yang dominant, they seem creative, whimsical, quirky, rebellious, youthful, childlike. They might have large eyes and a large forehead, small nose, round or sharp face. They'll have quite a little face. They'll look pixie-like, so they'll look sharp but youthful, like a little bit cheeky. They'll be cute in a boyish sort of way, and they're small and sharp. So we could use similar descriptive words to describe the kind of styles that gamines would look best in. So boyish styles, so this could be like rolled up jeans, t-shirts, suspenders, like fitted clothes. They'll often look their most feminine in short hair, like a pixie cut, especially when it's tousled. When they poke at fashion and try styles which don't conform in that non-conformity, and also in like whimsical creative things. They look good in minimal jewelry because jewelry is so often so feminine, but I think if the jewelry was something whimsical like ice cream earrings or something, that would look really cool on a gamine. They look good in like hoodies, and they don't look like they're wearing children's clothes. They just look quite elegant and cool in a lot of detail, like pockets, buttons, in geometric prints, in high contrast colors. Details should be small and compact rather than large and oversized. Like I said, the sense of tussled and motion, and that comes through in the clothes as well. Like a zigzag would be a good example of motion in patterns. They look good in playful styles, in tailoring, when styles are straight and narrow. In the sort of mix and match looks really good as well. Vintage and retro styles, and in all of this they'll look cool and self-assured rather than odd or strange. Classic is neither yin nor yang. It's a very balanced sort of essence. I think I'm primarily classic essence. They are defined by sort of balance and symmetry. Not one feature jumps out about them. They've got very yin and yang blended sort of features. Large nor small features. They've not got eyes which are close together, far apart, that kind of thing. You could describe it as formal, elegant, conservative, timeless sort of looking. Often I think of classics like if you could look back at if you could imagine them in an old painting, they probably have some kind of classic essence. And they have a blend between feminine and masculine characteristics. They're very neutral looking. And this applies for their lines as well. The less detail in the clothing, the more of their beauty that you see. So they really shine against very, very minimal detail, like the less detail as possible. They look good in smooth and controlled lines. They become more memorable as everything else is stripped away. They look good in timeless looks, and it doesn't look boring or outdated. It tends to just look very elegant and chic on them. You could even describe them as looking regal in these kind of styles. They look good in symmetry, balance, neutral colors, minimal detail, and quality fabrics. Romantic essence is our first yin dominant essence, so it's defined by looking sensual, luxurious, indulgence, glamour, softness. People with romantic essence will often look quite alluring. They might have lush lips, smouldering eyes, large eyes. They might have narrow jaws, possibly large foreheads. They'll have a rounded face, and often they have like dark hair or red hair. So to dress for romantic essence, you would dress in lots of detail, especially feminine detail, ruffles and ruching and draping, that kind of clingy fabrics, and those sorts of very feminine but lush details. They look good in elaborate, large and luscious hair, in ornate jewelry. They'll look good when they wear clothes which are figure hugging and draped and in clingy fabric. When they dress in glamorous looks, it doesn't look like they're trying too hard. In fact, it looks the opposite. It looks completely elegant and not overly sexy on them as such. They look good in large floral prints, in indulgence, in soft and flowing and draped fabrics. They look good with gathering, with sheen, with luxurious fabrics like velvet and silk. They look good in lace and the colour red. Ingenue is similarly a yin dominant essence, except instead of being this very womanly, sensual sort of feel, the ingenue is defined by their youthful girlishness. So they look very innocent and youthful, very sweet, cute, gentle. They'll often be described as pretty. They have like a sort of childlike innocence, youthful, delicate, and small and little. It's very small scale type of essence. Their face is often small and roundish rather than soft and lush. So they have a round face, possibly a small chin, small nose, round, wide set eyes. Large forehead, round cheeks, plump lips. Often they naturally have curly hair, or they'll look good in sort of tight curls. They'll look girlish, they have light eyes, joyful smiles, and are perceived as adorable. Ingenue lines, again, could describe very similar, so very cute, youthful, delicate, intricate, decorative, small, innocent. So good examples of this are small bows, tiny flowers, headbands, puffed sleeves, short flouncy dresses. They should look pretty and playful, delicate, compact shapes like Gamine, so they're good in small, compact styles, except instead of being playful and boyish, it's kind of playful and girlish. So pretty trimmings like ruffles and bows, whimsical patterns, pastel colours, lace, and vintage design. So you can see a lot of similarities to the Gamine there, except instead of these kind of straight and narrow sharp styles, everything is a lot more rounded and delicate. And lastly, we have the Ethereal, which is a kind of meeting point between the most yang and the most yin of essences. So they'll have very elongated facial features with possibly large, round, wide-set eyes. They kind of look like the elves in the Lord of the Rings. They're often described as angelic as well. That's another word for ethereal. So they'll often look like our stone statues of angels. They're like a real life embodied version of that. They're defined by sort of S-curve, so this elongation, which is rounded. Very subtly and very tightly rounded. Whereas romantics could be described as like a rose, ethereal essence is defined by a lily, so it's elongated and rounded. Ethereal essence is defined by a kind of purity, so where it is largely like a yin dominant essence. People say it's like the most yin, but instead of being this youthful sort of femininity or romantic sensual sort of femininity, it's otherworldly pure sort of femininity. They're often associated with maturity, wisdom. They seem ancient, like old souls. They'll have oval or sculpted faces. They'll often have low contrast and low saturation, so it kind of gives that impression, like I said earlier, of them like drifting away. They'll have some unusual looking features, like they're looking inwards, and have gently rounded edges, but they're long. So there's often a sense of the uncanny as well with the ethereal, like they're kind of almost not human looking. There are various facets to ethereal essence and how you can bring that out. So again, very otherworldly, celestial styles look good, also pure styles. A lot of wedding dresses would look great on ethereal essence, or great on someone with ethereal essence, because they're low contrast, they're white, they're often sheer, they're long. Basically everything about most wedding dresses would look great on someone with ethereal essence. They look good with plaits and braids because, again, think of that S curve, they're very elongated but with roundedness. They look good in metallic or sheen, in soft diagonal lines like handkerchief hems. They look good in fluttery sleeves or anything fluttery. They look good with abstract winged creatures like fairies or birds. Watercolor looks really good on ethereal essence. Abstract prints, anything shimmery or with iridescence. They look good in celestial styles like stars and moons. With mermaid shapes, layering looks really good when it creates that sort of waterfall effect. So there's definitely a tie between natural essence and ethereal essence. A lot of what looks good on one will look good on the other, but natural essence is a lot harder than ethereal essence. So basically anything that's draped, elongated, sheer, and gives the impression of an angel. So those are the 7 style essences. I hope that you found this useful. If you have any other questions about essences, please leave them in the comments and I will do my best to get back to you, and let me know what videos you would like to see next.